trainer, and my speciality is helping people to stop arguing and start talking. One of my passions is to help people to understand so that they can put tools into their everyday life. And although this sounds a bit odd, because if people learn how to, talk instead of argue, I may be redundant as a mediator. So why do I do it? It's because I find it so sad that after a successful mediation, people say, oh, I wish that we'd had this conversation before. So I would like to help people avoid all the anger and pain and months or years of heartbreak by helping them find out how to have conversations, not confrontation. So this is a series called Stop Arguing and Start Talking, which gives you tips for having conversations, not confrontations. And this is the second part of the series, which covers tools to change what we can. Because when you indulge negative emotions, you give something outside of yourself power over your happiness. And what I want you to realize is that you can choose not to let little things upset you, and you can take back control, not just of your emotions, but how you react. So this series, we learned that the most important thing, the only thing that really matters in life, are your relationships to other people, not just in your happiness, but also in your success and financial wisdom. So in this series, I help you to understand human emotions and reactions. I'll show you ways of improving your relationships through better communication. So the 5 sessions are why we argue instead of talk. That was the first session. The second one, which is this one, is tools to change what we can. The third session's about peace starts at home and why sometimes it's harder to have peace at home than out of it. And the fourth session is making work easier and having better conversations at work. And the fifth session is how to put things right when they go wrong. So just a quick review of what we learned in session 1. We learned why we argue instead of talk, and why humans are naturally resistant and negative. And sometimes these negative emotions are helpful and keep us safe. Other times they're very unhelpful and get us into more trouble. So we learned a bit about pausing and managing the emotions, and how the stories we tell ourselves affect our emotions, and a little bit about how to change these stories. In this session, I'm going to talk about working with emotions, and now we'll start talking about not just working with your own emotions, but working with others' emotions as well. So we'll talk about reassuring the rabbit and fear. And then we'll talk about taming or catching the tiger, and that's anger. And then I'll give you 3 more tools for better conversations. One is called Speak Up and Stay Silent. Another is Sing, for expressing your opinions safely. And Luck, for creating constructive conversations. So first, working with emotions. If you remember from our first session, what happens when you're frightened or angry is your thinking is switched off, which only leaves you with 3 options. One is to get mad, the other is to hide, and the other is to run away. In other words, fight, flight, or freeze. Because these are the sort of natural inherited reactions. So let's look at reassuring the rabbit, which deals with fear, which usually comes out as running away or hiding. And when we run away and hide from situations, unless it's a man with an axe, it usually just means the situation gets worse. So the way to deal with your own fears is to recognize the signs of fear in you. It might be your heart starting to beat faster. It might be your tummy getting a bit upset. It might be you kind of get into a sort of huddle, but recognize what it is for you. And then explore the stories that you're telling yourself. And instead of telling yourself, that's stupid, you shouldn't be scared, accept the fact that you are scared. And it's okay to be scared. And then think about what's needed to make me feel safe. And then think about how you satisfy those needs and soothe your fears. I'll teach you some physical and some mental tools that you can do for this soothing of your fears. But it's also understanding what's important for you and whether your scared and running away reaction is going to actually give you what you want. And then reassess the situation and reframe some of those stories you've been telling yourself and explain to yourself how you're going to move forward. And you'll find this works not just for yourself, but for others. So say a toddler or someone who's very frightened about something, but a toddler is easy to imagine. You recognize the signs of fear in a toddler because they start changing, getting a bit scared, and explore with them, what is it that is making you feel that way? What is it you don't like? So explore stories with people and then acknowledge it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel that way, but it's not a very nice feeling. So what would you need to make you feel less scared? And then satisfy the needs and soothe the fears. Understand what's important to them. It might not be what they're screaming about. It might be something else. It might just be they need a hug. Or it might be something deeper. Help them to reassess the situation and reframe and explain to you what they think the best way forward is. So here's another tool when someone's angry. And with adults, fear often shows as anger. So some of the tools you can use in both places, and it's really understanding. So first, when you're angry yourself, clarify to yourself, what is it that I'm really mad about? Is it because I'm hungry? Is it because I feel they haven't respected me? What is it that makes me so angry? And then acknowledge and accept that it's okay to feel angry. Yeah. Sometimes anger is a good thing. And then take some time to think, perhaps that wasn't the actual reason that person did it. What other things could it have been? Take some time to take some deep breaths and switch your brain back on. And then be curious instead of furious, because being curious helps you think things through more logically. It helps you understand what the best way forward is. And then finally, hope for the best. What's the best thing that could come out of this situation? What's the best way that I can act to make sure that I get what's important? So again, when you're working with other people, use the same tool. If it's someone who's angry, don't be angry. It's nothing big, because all that does is tell them that you don't understand how important this is to you. So say to them, you seem very upset about that. Tell me more about it. Tell me why it's so important and what it is that's making you angry. And then acknowledge and accept that even if you don't think it's a big thing, it's a big thing for them, that it makes them angry. And then take the time to find out what it is that would make them less angry? What is the solution that they want? Be curious again, not furious. Just calm yourself. Ask them questions, not an interrogation, but questions like, tell me more. And what do you think you need to fix this situation? And what are your options? Would you like some ideas, or do you just want me to listen? And then hope. Hope, what's the best thing for this person? And how can you work with them to make sure the hope comes true? So I promised you some tools. We talked in the first session about breathing slowly and deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth, or even just in and out through the nose slowly and deeply. It slows your heart, it switches off the fight or flight and freeze response, and it makes you able to think things through. And when you move about, you release endorphins, which make you feel more positive. It uses up the adrenaline and the steroids and reduces the negativity. So you feel more relaxed. And when you're walking beside someone, it's less likely that you will argue because you fall into a natural rhythm. And be aware of your physical needs and those of others. Don't have discussions about important things when you're tired or hungry. You're bound to have an argument. So watch when I'm feeling angry, it's because I'm hungry. If my blood sugar drops, I'm not a very nice person. Or if someone seems apathetic, it might be that they're tired or hungry. So the other thing that's interesting is your posture and other people's posture doesn't actually just show the way you're feeling. It can influence the way you're feeling. So if your fists are clenched and you unclench your fists and let your shoulders drop, you will feel more relaxed because you're in a relaxed posture. And if you're in a relaxed posture, the other person will mirror that. So those are some physical tools that you can use to have conversations instead of confrontations. There are also some mental tools for managing emotions. So we talked about naming and accepting, the really important thing to do. It's okay to feel angry, scared, sad, or ready to cry. Accept your feelings and those of others. You may not want to name the feeling out loud, but name it to yourself and ask the other person, what is it exactly you're feeling? Tell me about it. And then reverse that fight or flight response by pausing and breathing and checking your stories, thinking before you react. And then keep sight of what's important. What's your goal? Don't give up what you want most for what you want now. At the moment, you might want a quiet life and you think, I'll just not talk about it. But in the long run, you don't want that situation to continue. So think about what you could do, not what you can't do. And stand your ground. You can say no nicely. You don't have to get mad or back down. There might be more than two choices. So this is where the curiosity comes in, thinking of other options. So let's look at a few of these tools. Most people think, I either have to let them know and get mad, or I just have to shut up and put up with it. But we don't need to be judgmental. We don't need to be tactless. We don't have to blame other people for problems. We don't need to be cruel when we speak our truths. We can be kind, but we can be firm, and we can be fair. So there are other options to either getting mad or shutting up. And when do we know when to speak up and when to say quiet? So I've prepared this tool called SKIN. And the S is for, is it safe to speak? If someone's chasing you with an axe, it's probably not safe to speak. Is it sensible? Is it going to make any difference? Or is it just going to make them mad? And is keeping quiet actually going to be more effective than pointing out why they're doing the wrong thing when they're looking after their children or the mistakes? And then what would happen if you don't speak up? So if someone's doing something that's dangerous, there are quite heavy consequences of not speaking. If someone's doing something unethical and your conscience is telling you that you should speak up, think about that, because if you don't, those kind of things will make you ill or result in a lot of problems further down the line. And thinking about what's important. Is it more important that the person does the thing right and you need to tell them? Or is it more important that you let them build their confidence? And this will vary from time to time. And also, do you have all the information before you speak out? Or do you have at least enough to know that it's the right thing to do? And if internally you're feeling very mad and you don't speak out, your internal thoughts do leak out. No matter how good an actor you are, people will sense that you're angry or upset. So why not talk about it? Maybe even say, can we talk about this at another time? I just can't really talk about it at the moment, but I want to talk about it. And then finally, before you speak up, think, what are your motives? What is it that you hope to achieve by speaking up? And is this the best method? Is sending an email or a text best? Or is it better to talk face to face? And is this the best time? And am I the right person to have this conversation? And then think about the meaning. How do I make the meaning clear? So that's the skim tool to decide whether you speak up or not. Now, I'm going to talk about the sing tool, which helps you have conversations about things that might be a little bit tricky to talk about. So say a messy kitchen at work. That's one of the most common problems. So first you think of the situation and you observe what's happening and you state the situation objectively. You don't say, you always leave the kitchen in a mess. Yeah, you say, when I go to make my meal, I find the sink is full of dirty dishes, and I don't think that's very hygienic. And it's a real problem, this sink full of dirty dishes, because people can't get to the sink to do stuff, and they start complaining and putting up notices. What do you think? What's your view on this? And then you talk about the impact and say, I get quite cross when I come in and there's no clean dishes. And that tends to make me grumpy and angry with everybody. And, I wonder, what's the impact on you? Does it make any difference to you? Then talk about the needs and say, what I really need is to have some clean dishes to have my meal in. What is it that you need? Are you the same? And how could we solve this problem together? And maybe then you think of the gift. And the gift is, what I'd really like is if you could help me come up with some solution. Or what I'd really like is if you have dirty dishes that you want to wash later, maybe we could put them in a bowl so that I can get to the sink. Or perhaps I would have my own dishes. I'm quite happy to bring in my own dishes, and if no one uses them, I'll wash my own dishes. So ask, is there anything I could do that would make things better for you? So this sing will help you have a conversation without having a confrontation, even when you're wanting something from the other person that maybe they aren't able to give. They might still say no, but you'll be trying in a much better way. And then how do you set boundaries though? Now we've got an agreement about the kitchen. We need to get the story straight. So what we've agreed is that you're going to put your dirty dishes in that basin and I'll have my own dishes. And, is that what you've agreed? And communicate it clearly, listen, and then monitor it. I mean, trust people to do it, but follow through. So when the person doesn't do it, just say, do you remember we agreed that it would be really helpful if you kept them in the thing? Was there any reason why you didn't? Oh, so someone was using that basin for something else, fine. Or, we did say that whoever didn't do it, didn't we agree that we'd put a pound in the charity box or something? So that you follow through. The final tool I want to teach you today is called luck, and it helps manage conflict. So if you look for the positives, you understand others' needs, and you have compassion and remember you have a choice, and keep it safe, keep trying. So let's look at those. So let's look at the L first, looking for resolution. You want to manage your emotions, check your information, clarify objectives, and beware of any opportunity to avoid the problems. So what could you do? So it's looking yourself before you start looking for others to do things. To understand others' needs, you need to remove blame. You need to ask them for their view. Try and understand them before expecting them to understand you. Look for things you have in common and what you agree on, and see if you can find something important that you both agree on. And then choose your mindset. Expect things to go well. Think win-win so that both of you get something out of it. What is it that you could both achieve? Sometimes it's just stopping argument, but sometimes there's a lot more. And be positive in what you offer rather than saying, don't do this, don't do that. Give some positive ideas and be prepared to make changes yourself. And finally, keep trying. It takes a lot of time. You need to be persistent. You need to be flexible. You need to follow through. You need to accept that maybe your idea isn't the only one, and ask for help. Maybe you need to get a third party involved. So look for positives, understand others' needs and your own. Think with compassion. People will behave if they can. If they can't, and we don't know their backgrounds, we don't know what struggles people are having. So try and be compassionate, and remember you have a choice about how you react. And the best way of having others change their behavior is to change the way you treat them. So keep it safe and keep trying. So today we've learned how to manage emotions, ours and others, reassuring the rabbit and getting rid of fear, and taming the tiger and controlling our anger, and helping others to manage theirs. We've learned a couple of tools for better conversations, speaking up or stay silent. We've learned about sing for expressing opinions safely. And we've learned about how luck can help create constructive conversations. So if you found this talk useful, be sure to watch the rest of the series to learn more. And if you want one-to-one sessions, you can book these on the Med-Into app. So thank you for your attention. The next session of Stop Arguing and Start Talking is called Peace Starts at Home. because any problem, big or small, within a family always seems to start with bad communication. Someone isn't listening. Thank you. Bye.